start in Tuscaloosa, where the Tide, they had a big final visit weekend of June, and Alabama has been excellent this summer at turning official visits into commitments. I don't think anybody's done it better this summer, Steve. Here we have another weekend of official visits and more 5-stars trending to Alabama. Now, we'll get to the trending names in just a second, but I want to get your opinion on 5-star defensive lineman Justice Terry, fresh off that decommitment from USC. He was in Tuscaloosa this weekend. What are you hearing?
Well, I think he had a great visit to Alabama, and the Crimson Tide are going to be one of those programs to give him a lot to think about as he continues through his process. But until I hear different, I like the Georgia Bulldogs here. This is a young man that was at one point committed to Georgia before he decommitted in favor of USC, but the Bulldogs never relented. He's been to Athens a couple times. Expect him to be in Georgia several more times as the process continues. The relationship with Trey Scott, Georgia's track record defensive lineman, and just being an in-state kid, a lot of the intel is favoring Georgia right now for Justice Terry.
All right, let's talk about some guys that are actually trending to Alabama. New picks on the recruiting prediction machine came in this weekend for Tai Haywood. Now, this one was really interesting because we're talking about turning official visits into commitments. Tai Haywood was on an official visit to Florida State when these Alabama picks started rolling in this weekend. What are you hearing on Tai Haywood and the Tide?
Well, we've talked about it on past whip-arounds and inside scoops, and then also had a good article on On3 last week about Alabama's push for the nation's #1 recruiting class. And in that article, we talked about Tai Haywood trending towards Alabama. It was his dream school growing up, had a terrific official visit here in June. His mom is super high on Alabama, from the relationship with Coach Kapalovic to what Coach Kalen DeBoer, his track record and what they're building at Alabama, and just the standard of Roll Tide in general. The intel and the buzz is favoring Alabama. I think Florida State is kind of the last hurdle here, as Oklahoma and Texas A&M have faded in this recruitment. Official visit to Florida State this weekend. Seminoles gave them some things to think about, but I like Alabama as I talk to you this Monday morning.
All right, now Caleb Cunningham, he is no stranger to naming a leader. He's seemingly done that after every official visit he's taken, but the difference here is Caleb Cunningham, there's picks rolling in for him on the recruiting prediction machine to Alabama. There wasn't necessarily picks rolling in for him after he had said these other programs lead. So why Alabama? Why now for Caleb Cunningham?
Well, this is the first newly named leader that I believe. Talking to some sources that spent time with Caleb Cunningham at Alabama over the weekend, I think that the Tide has clearly set the bar moving forward for Caleb Cunningham. And I wouldn't be surprised if he makes a summer decision now. For a while, I thought maybe he would take this into the fall and continue through his process. But I think Alabama has really grabbed the momentum here. Jamarcus Shepard, Alabama's wide receivers coach, people are starting to get to know him nationally now, Josh. He is one of the best in college football, one of the best assistant coaches in college football. You look what he did with the wide receivers at Washington this past year. He was at Purdue. Prior to that, he has worked under Mike Leach, Jeff Brom, and Kalen DeBoer, 3 of the best offensive minds in college football. And he is an electric recruiter, a great relationship builder. He brings a lot of juice and energy. I think that has resonated with Caleb Cunningham and several other receivers, from Khalik Lockett to Derek Meadows. Alabama's at the top or near the top for 3 of their most coveted receivers as they continue through this process.
Yeah, the Tide are rolling. All right, the pipeline from California to Tuscaloosa is open and flowing. Last week, it was Jackson Lloyd committing to the Tide. This week, it's 5-star corner Dejon Lee, who we got to see in Nashville, and he is an incredible looking prospect. He is now trending to Alabama. What are you hearing on 5-star corner Dejon Lee?
Yeah, you mentioned Jackson Lloyd. Alabama's putting together one of the special offensive line classes in the country, with Tai Haywood potentially being next, joining him, Michael Carroll, and Mal Waldrop. Secondary is another area that they would like to continue adding blue chippers to. And Dejon Lee's kind of been a back and forth with Georgia throughout his process, but Alabama coming out of this official visit, the clear leader for Dejon Lee. They've probably led more than Georgia in this recruitment, but I think this official visit solidified Alabama's position, the relationship with Courtney Morgan, getting a chance to get over there and getting around the players, Damani Jackson and Zabian Brown, getting their insight on new defensive backs coach Mo Lindquist. I think it's all lining up for Alabama to ultimately land Dejon Lee.
What an incredible summer for Alabama. I'm sure we're going to talk about this later when we talk about winners of summer. But so far, I mean, Alabama turning some of these visits into commitments has just been maybe the biggest surprise of the summer. What do you think of Kalen DeBoer and his staff recruiting at Bama so far?
Well, they got a chance to finish number one. Look, this is a staff that's full of tremendous energy. I mean, I think it starts with Kalen DeBoer and just what he's done historically as a head football coach. Kids know that they're going to play for a winner. Alabama, just their standard and what they've been over the years beforehand, that has not gone away as well. And kids feel that when they're on campus. And Nick Saban still has a presence around this college football program despite retiring last year. I think he's put together a coaching staff of electric recruiters that do a good job of fostering genuine relationships with top targets. And then the off-field recruiting staff, guys like Courtney Morgan, Aaron Hodges, is second to none. Alabama's got a lot of relationship builders on the field, off the field. They got a lot of successful coaches that can point towards tremendous track records of success. Yeah. And then Alabama and what it means in general, it's all lining up for them to continue competing for the nation's number one recruiting class year in, year out, post Nick Saban era.
Yep, that's right. Bama fans, talk to us. Comment section below. Are you guys surprised by Kalen DeBoer's start at Alabama, or is this just par for the course? Anybody that steps up can recruit to Alabama. I don't know about that. It seems like Kalen DeBoer and the boys are doing a great job. Let us know. Comment section below.